Welcome back to another episode of A Smith Podcast. I appreciate you guys being in here. If you guys can double tap my screen, double tap my screen for me, please. Share this live out as much as you can. If you're watching and this is not live, like here, comment, share, follow me, subscribe. I appreciate you guys coming in here. I thought this episode would be perfect to address the juvenile system, just because I think it's clear everybody's well aware of the situation that I'm going through with my son. Thank you, Bella. I hope you're having a great day as well. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it is because I experienced it as a teenager, and now I'm dealing with it on the opposite side as a parent. And I think for one, when I was younger, it was a little bit different because my mom did battle with mental health issues that we were unaware of. We didn't understand bipolar. And that's also part of the reason why I speak out when I do this stuff, is because if somebody would have if I would have been watching videos, we had MySpace back then. And if people were raising awareness about certain things, maybe I would have seen it and I would have learned that psychosis was a part of bipolar. And they didn't. And maybe they didn't, I just didn't see it. I don't know. But that's part of why I did this. But also, a lot of my stuff stemmed from my juvenile years. When I was 14, my old friend Lisa and we took those motorized shopping carts and got charged with grand theft. That's what originally put me in the juvenile system. When I got into the juvenile system, they didn't really address what was going on at home. Everything was just a punishment for everything I was doing, and nothing that I said truly, really mattered. They did find out when I was 16 that I had ADHD, and then they put me on medication for it. I didn't get any therapy for it. I had a therapist, I think it was a counselor of some sort, but we didn't do any therapy work. She just talked to me about problems that I had, and then she would report me to my probation officer and I get in trouble. So it wasn't really beneficial to me. And I think I'm starting to see a lot of, oddly, in relation to what my son's dealing with right now, it's kind of the opposite. And I wish that they would instill more of the things that they did with me, with him, because I got in trouble immediately. My mom had bipolar. And I think low key that part of the reason why I was doing the things that I was doing was because I had to mother myself while mothering my mom. But I was just a kid. When I got in trouble with the shopping carts and they put me in the system, they gave me what do they call them? A CD, a chemical dependency evaluation. And then when they heard that, I partaked in lettuce, and I'm going to say lettuce because I am on a live stream here and I don't want to get kicked off of here, but if you know, you know. And that was their main focus. They didn't ever try to address anything that was going on with me. It was just that you're doing something illegal, you're in trouble, you're in trouble, you're in trouble. We don't care why, we just want you to be in trouble, and you're going to have all of these things, all these repercussions for everything that you're doing without us ever really addressing what is going on with you. And so next thing you know, I had a probation officer, a treatment counselor, I had a therapist, I had a psychiatrist, and nobody helped me. Nobody helped me. Everybody was just like, if something went wrong, oh, you're in trouble. So then they would lock me up in the juvie, or I went to a CATS program at the very end there. Every time something would go on with my mom, because again, she was bipolar, so a lot of times she would try to unalive herself, or she would have seizures, and I was always the one that was there. If I had to skip school, like one time my mom came to my school, and I was supposed to go home from foster care. It was Thanksgiving, and she had seizures, and it was an hour before school got out. I left school to bring my mom to the hospital, and they put a warrant out for my arrest, and they locked me up in juvie for Thanksgiving, all because I brought my mom to the hospital, even though I was supposed to go home. One time I was left at the school where everybody forgot me. Like my probation officer, my parents didn't come. I was supposed to go to my parents' house, and I was in foster care, so my foster parents didn't come either. And I sat at the school till 9 p.m. and my treatment counselor was like, yeah, you're going to be in trouble for this. I'm like, I'm the one who was forgotten. So it was like every single thing that happened didn't make me want to open up and tell them anything or ask for help, because all they would do was punish me for every single thing that I did. So I learned to just lie. I learned to lie and become even more sneakier with everything that I was doing. And every time that I would get in trouble and I go to juvie, it would make it worse. And then eventually they put me into PATH, which is a foster care program, which I love my foster parents. They are my my oldest son's godparents. To this day, they're still a part of my life. We live in the same town here. Ironically, they're from the town that I'm I moved to Fargo from. So it was really crazy that that even happened. But great individuals. It was the most stable life I had ever had that I remember or recall as a teenager. And I've always said that if I would have stayed there, my life would have been different now. And I remember after I had like my fourth kid, they were at my house visiting and I told them that and they're like, "Oh, I wish you would have told me that. We definitely would have kept you." And it was kind of hard to hear because I really didn't think that anybody wanted me. But I have a hard time trusting the juvenile system because of all of the things that I went through with them. Because it was something like weed stealing is wrong. Yes. We took those motorized shopping carts just because we were having a good time and we really were going to bring them back. That doesn't mean that it's okay, but that's what we were going to do. Nobody tried to like believe us. Nobody tried to listen to us. None of that stuff. So instead they were like, no, 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 no. You can't do all of this stuff. We're putting all this restrictions on you. We're not going to help you with anything. If you do any of these things, you're going to be in trouble. And so that created just like a lack of trust with everybody. I always said that when I grow up, I want to work with juveniles, somebody troubled youth, because I feel like I have a really good insight on what could help juveniles, which is so ironic that I say that and then I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with my son. The last incident, how it's not their fault that my mom unalived herself, right? But they gave me an ultimatum towards the end there, which was either you're gonna go to CATS, which is a treatment facility, or we're going to send you to home on the range till you're 21. So it was either like 6 weeks till I turn 18 or home on the range, which is, a couple of years. I'm like, cool, CATS program, please. And I only lasted 2 weeks before they came and told me that my mom unalived herself. That was really difficult because I knew what would happen if I left her side. And I remember the last time I seen my mom, I made her promise me that she wasn't going to do anything stupid. Those are my words. I said, "Promise me, Mom, you're not going to do anything stupid." She said, "I won't, Annie B." And I knew. And this is where the intuition thing just screws me up, is I can picture that moment 100%. And I seen the look in her eyes, the tears in her face, and I knew that that was going to be the last time I was ever going to see my mom. And I kind of kicked myself for that because I wish I would have said something. My mom and my dad were going through a divorce. And so when I was in treatment, it was like 2 weeks that I lasted there. She would call me and she'd be like, "Hey, Annie B, talk to your dad." And pretty soon people were there with like, "Hey, if you don't stop trying to handle your parents' business, we're going to make it impossible for you to talk to your parents." I'm like, all right. So last time I talked to my mom on the phone, I yelled at her and I was like, "You got to stop this crap. They're not going to let me keep talking to you. I can't fix your problems, blah, 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 blah." And I almost hung up and she said, "Okay, Annie B, I'm sorry. I love you." I'm like, "Yeah, I love you too, Mom." Click. And that was the last time I spoke to her. And I've always held that really deep with me because I feel like the juvenile system could have done better. Instead of just punishing me for the shit that I did, why don't you try to help me? Thank you for the rose, Safira. I hope you're doing good. And congratulations. I know you're a mom now. And congratulations. I'm so freaking happy for you. I bet you're the best mom ever. I've always held that against them because if they would have helped me and tried to work with me or figure out what can we do. This kid has went 16 years not knowing they have ADHD, not knowing how to handle their emotions. Instead of just placing me on a medication, let's give her some type of therapy. Let's try to get to the bottom of this. Let's give her some type of structure, because when I went foster care, they did great with that and I excelled immensely. I went from like F's to A's in a matter of a month, like straight A's. And then they didn't do anything spectacular, but they were breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You knew what to expect, when to expect. We didn't get to watch TV unless we watched a family movie at night. And I just felt like my probation, my treatment, my therapist, they were all against me. They weren't with me or wanting me to excel. So when my son started getting into trouble, my first line was like, "Hey, I'm going to help you. I want you to know what it's going to be like if you go into this juvenile system and how difficult it's going to be for you to get out of here." So I thought that if I set up a good structure for him with getting him a job and setting up a routine and finding him something to exert his energy. So, waking him up every single day at the same time. Now you got to do school from these hours, and then you're going to go to work, and then you're going to have workout, or you go to the gym or whatever. And then it wasn't an every single day that I would have him do it like that, but it was 4 days a week he would work. And then he would also have gym the gym for like 4 days a week. and then I would give him freedom to be him. I didn't have problems with him. And from the age of 6 to right when he started getting into trouble, my son was mainly living with his dad. And his dad's not a very big disciplinary. None of my kids' dads are. He would always be getting into trouble and his dad would call me. And I've always seen him have outbursts, and I've known that it's a matter of how you talk to him. If you talk to him like he ain't shit, he's going to respond like you ain't shit. And I know that about him. If you try to tell him to do something, he ain't going to want to do it. It's about how you say it to him. Make him believe that it's his idea. The problem with that is in the real world, they ain't going to do that for you. You're going to have to, yes, people need boundaries. Hey, Marv, thank you for your heart, me. And I knew that they weren't going to do that for him out in the real world. But I also knew that, like, it's such a difficult thing when you come from a family as a kid when your feelings don't matter and nobody really wants to hear you out. So then you have kids and you grow up and you want to raise your kids and you're like, yeah, your feelings matter. I want to make sure I tend to all this stuff. I want to give you options. I want to give you space, but I also still need to set boundaries. It's very difficult. You know, you think you have all the answers to being a parent until you're a parent and you realize it is not black and white. And you can do all of the right things and shit can still happen. And I think kind of the same thing that happened with me is happening with my son, because I set up so much structure with him and I tried to shelter him from the bullshit when it came to the reality of life. That made it intriguing to him. And then he watches the video games and he meets other people in high school and he wants to do what they're doing because that looks fun. Everything else is boring. So as soon as he went to high school, it was like, screw everything else. He was in football, he was in soccer, he did play basketball, but he met this new group of friends and everything just flipped. Now he's messing with lettuce, which I don't have a problem with it, but I do if you're already being a little shithead. If you're not doing what you need to be doing, why would I be like, oh yeah, sure, that's cool. You know what I mean? I would understand if I had a kid that had his shit together and he was moving in a positive direction, but he wasn't, you know, so I'm not going to condone this. So initially he got caught with a kid. One of his friends knew it was going to stink, so they put it in his pocket at school. It was caught on camera, so he got off on that. And then it was with that airsoft. And after that situation, his dad was like, here, you know what I mean? And I was like, fine, I'll take him. He's going to go online. We're going to be at home. I'm going to set up the structure. I'm going to do all this other stuff. I can't believe that I still have not heard anything back from this. After everything that we went through, you pretty much expelled him from school. He can't go in any school events. We had to go to court over this whole situation. And February, we were supposed to hear back. And I have not gotten anything. I've emailed, called his lawyer, nothing. And then so what did that teach him? If he can screw around in school and the school is just going to be like, oh, it's fine. No, we talked. And before this airsoft situation happened, I told the school myself, what are you guys going to do? You can't just keep giving him minimal punishments. Like, well, we don't like to punish. We prefer to redirect and we want to give children an option. Well, we are on the 16 millionth option right now. I don't think he's learning his lesson. And I think his choice is to continue upon this path. So now what are we going to do? Because at home, he doesn't do this. But when he leaves home, he goes to school, he knows this is cool. Every bit of trouble he's gotten into is at school because the school never instilled the punishment. They have literally taught him that, no, at home that doesn't fly, but here, we'll give you an opportunity. So then he gets in trouble with that airsoft, and the law does the same damn thing. They made it seem like it wasn't a big deal because it was a toy, but if you've watched any of my videos, you will know that he brought it for protection. So what does that tell you he was going to do with it? He wasn't going to play with it. That tells you where his mind's at. And because of a small mishap in like a statement made from the police officers, they were like, because these comments are conflicting, we feel like he violated his rights and we'll give you a written response. Nothing. Okay, then after that, he steals my car. And then he wrecks it and causes all of this damage for it. And mind you, everybody like on Instagram, not everybody, there's a handful of people on there that think that I am just the world's worst mom because I'm making him pay me back for $10,000 worth of damage. No, I don't have to pay, and I didn't have to pay the $10,000. What I totally paid for the rental, for the deductible, was about $5,000. That's what I ended up having to pay in total to have my vehicle fixed. And the reality, if he made some incentive to pay me back on his own, I'd probably let it slide because I'm his mom. I just want to learn a lesson. I'm not going to really make him pay all of it back, but I'm going to make him think he's going to have to pay it back. I want him to work hard. And so he took it from North Dakota. He got found in Minnesota. Minnesota would not charge him because they said there's no such thing as theft of a use of an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. There's no such charge as that. Fargo saying they're lying. Yes, there is. We tried to get him to charge him, but they wouldn't charge him. Fargo also didn't charge him until I went up to the police station. I was like, I need charges placed against him. Like, I need it. And then within a month, we had charges filed, went to court, and he's been put on informal. After that, he ran away like 3 times. And then he got mad that day over me not ordering him a shake. What people don't know is that I did give him a portion of his money from his paycheck. And 2 days prior to that, he ordered DoorDash. And he spent $40-some on wings, fries, and a shake. He got his stuff. I didn't order anything that day, but like, that's irrelevant. If I wanted to or I didn't, that's my money, right? And I could if I wanted to. I don't leave my kids out like that. I always get them something if I get something. Sometimes I don't, but hey, I don't have to. And I don't also have to answer to anybody as to why I'm doing what I'm doing. Sometimes I get them shit and I don't get myself shit. So what? So he blew up with that. And every single time, his probation officer was like, okay, well, you know that you're supposed to be helping your mom out? Yeah. Do you agree that you should be doing that? Yeah. Okay, so that's good. And that was it. Then after he did that over the shake and he smashed his school laptop, because now he's not going to school, he's going to fail this school year. He'd been put on probation for the vehicle. Since then, he ran away 3 times. Then he freaked out that day, smashed his laptop, and threw it at my TV. My TV didn't break. Then he ran away. He didn't really run away. He went to his dad's house, to be real. And then we found out that he got banned from Casey's for stealing. And do you think that his probation officer and them did anything about it? No, nothing. And that just blows my mind because I did something out of pure innocence when I was younger. Like, it wasn't that I was trying to intend to hurt people. He's intending to do bad, and y'all won't do anything. And when I asked the police officers for help, they were like, oh, they gave me some cards to go to like the college. CPS did the same thing. You know, like you can call NDSU for some type of resources. Like, I've had people threaten to call CPS on me. I'm like, please do. I already did. Like, I already called CPS on myself. I don't know what you guys are going to aim for. You're not threatening me. I'm trying to get help for him, but I can't get it because nowadays people believe that these children need all these options, and that is what the problem is. They don't need an opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to prove to you what you saw the first 60 times. And so this juvenile system, for me, it's so hard to trust them because it's like, okay, as a parent, what I want to do is grab a belt and go old school on him. But I can't because then I'm going to be in trouble for it. This last time that he left, he straight up told me, I'm just going to tell the cops that you hit me all the time. I'm like, okay. So when the cops came and I told him that, he's like, yeah, you could do that. I'm like, cool. Until I do that, then I'm going to be in trouble. People are telling me, leave him at the juvie, don't go get him. Okay, I said I was going to do that. They were going to charge me with neglect. But then when it comes to actually upholding some type of punishment, they're like, oh, we just believe that we need to give them an option. We just believe that we need to. And I'm like, what the hell do I need to do? But if my son does something that hurts somebody else, I'm going to be a bad mom anyways. So I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. I could punish him. I can not punish him. And people are still going to hold it against me regardless. But at the end of the day, something needs to change when it comes within this juvenile system. And I knew when he got signed up for it, I had ill feelings because the director of the juvenile system now is my old probation officer when I was a kid. So when I seen her name, my stomach dropped. Because not only did you guys fail to help me throughout all my troubles, my mom took her life a month before my 18th birthday. On my 18th birthday, you took me out and you said, I feel like you've been through enough. I'm just going to let you off of everything. Now that I have nothing, and I'm freshly 18. Y'all sent me out to this world without solving any issues, giving me any kind of support to fend for myself, and I just lost the most important person in my life. And now my son's being a terror, and I'm supposed to trust you with his life? And what you're proving to me is that I don't know, like part of me is like, are you guys like being extra lenient on him because you were so hard on me? Or is this just what you guys do? Because this isn't helping anybody. And if you're so concerned about our future, well, the future starts with our children. So when are we going to address this behavior? And I know that it's like, oh, it's the parents. It starts when they're younger. He wasn't a kid that I needed to whoop when he was younger. He was honestly, and he always is, has been my sweetest kid. Mother's Day never skips a beat. Even this Mother's Day, with everything that happened, he still showed up, gave me a hug. He told me he was sorry. He loved me. And then he asked me for advice. We're talking about his job and everything else. And it's just like, nobody really understands the type of kid that I deal with at home versus the kid that they see out here in the street. And I get that because it took me a minute to understand that. But I just think that whatever procedure that they're working with when it comes to the juvenile system needs some tweaking. Something needs to change with it. And there needs to be a more of a strict structure. Stop with the options. Stop with the opportunity to continuously doing something bad instead of giving them repercussions for the shit that they're doing. Because at the end of the day, they're not learning any lessons. And what happens when they turn 18? They're going to think that, oh, I'm not at home, I can get away with all this stuff. Then you guys' jails are going to be loaded with a whole bunch of people, and they're going to be like, this is an outrage. We have all these criminals, and we're overcrowded. We need to get people out of here. But it started when they were kids. And you think that these, not that they don't deserve an opinion or an opportunity, they do, and they deserve a voice, but they deserve also a little bit of a structure and somebody to like show them the way. And if a parent is asking CPS, the police, a probation officer for help, you should probably help them. They're probably at their end. And what's really wild to me is when he got in trouble at the school, I made these videos and the school seen them. And when we had that meeting, the school was like, yeah, just do me a favor when you go out on your videos there, I want you to say a good word for us. What good word do I have to say about you? I don't have faith in the juvenile system. I don't trust none of these people to deal with my kid. I don't even know what to do with him anymore. He's at his dad's house. The last time I went to a probation meeting, and this is something that was really irritating, and I never said nothing to his dad about it. When we went to his last juvenile meeting, he had been at his dad's house. That was after he had done all that stuff at the house. The probation officer was like, so how's it going? Are you helping your dad out? He was like, yeah. And he was like, do you have? He's like, yeah. And his dad's sitting there and he's just like, and I'm like, what are you doing to help him out? And he had nothing to say. And I'm like, okay, well, sleeping all day and then getting up and watching TV is not helping your dad out. So you got to be a little bit real here. His dad won't speak up when it comes to these things. He's like, no problems here, no problems here. No, we got a big problem. He's not doing anything. He's not doing anything. And that gets extremely frustrating to me because it's like you have him and you're making it seem like he's all peaches and roses over there, but you're actually not doing anything. Because when I had all this going on here, I was slamming all this stuff in here. And I just feel like his dad's doing him a disservice by not making sure he's being responsible for his actions or not holding him accountable for the things that he's doing. And that's really disappointing. Because I can do whatever I want to do here. Now I'm the evil parent because I'm holding you accountable for the stuff that you're doing. And he's the good parent because he's not. And it's easier and you like it there. So now when you run away to there. And then it's like, where's his dad? How come his dad's not? And I'm defending you. But in reality, no, you know what? I'm starting to realize that it kind of has something to do with you. And I need a little bit of support here. But I wonder what is the motive behind why they do the things that they do in the juvenile system, especially when you start looking at the government and everything else. And, there's conspiracy theories through a whole bunch of crap, and people are going to say this about CPS and everything else. And yeah, some of it's true, some of it's not true, whatever. But what is the point? Like, why are these people in these positions in the world if they're not going to do what these positions are supposed to do? If you guys are so skilled and you are supposed to be helping these kids, how come you're not? Or are you picking and choosing who you feel like is worth helping, and that's why you're not helping the other kids? Like, I don't understand. Because I don't think it takes a genius to know this kid is struggling with this. For one, I think my son has ODD. I'm not a doctor, but I feel like he has ODD because anytime you ask that kid, it doesn't matter what you ask him to do, he will make the mess right now in front of your face. And you say, hey, clean this up. God, why do I always have to clean all this? Like that all the time. It's like, bro, you just made this mess. Why are you mad at me? And how can I see that for ODD? There's not, but there's always ways to cope. So kind of. There's treatment that you can give for pretty much anything. There's not really a cure for stuff, but I think that everybody can learn coping skills. And I think that part of me might have had ODD because it does irritate me. And it did irritate me as a kid when people would tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. Just because somebody told me to do something, I'm going to make sure that I don't do that. And I'm going to do it my own way just to prove to them that I can do it my own way. And a lot of times that would get me into trouble. It would get me into trouble all the time. Everything is about de-escalation, emotions, options. Some of the time it works. Yeah. And it's de-escalating and then not enabling is difficult. Because I think that like sometimes when I de-escalate, and maybe not that, like the options part. I think that whole procedure, the de-escalating emotions and options part, is a fine line between enabling. Because I can de-escalate, like I can calm my son down. We can have a great conversation, handle his emotions, and figure out options. But I feel like he sometimes uses that as a way to avoid the confrontation or the accountability to something that he did. Because that's a whole process. So now we went through this whole process and now it's like, oh, everybody's calmed down. So now not everybody's as mad and I'm not going to get that big of a punishment. You know what I mean? Yeah. See, and that's what makes it so difficult. And I think that also as a parent gets really difficult for me to like defend myself. Not that I need to defend myself, but it's just very difficult to try to get people to understand. And I don't need to. I just need to remind myself that I don't need to make anybody else understand is that I did the sit down and have a conversation. Let's break this down. Why did you do what you did? How come you felt the need to do that? Who told you that was a good idea? What do you think that you could have done differently for yourself? Okay, and next time when you come up with this, what are we going to do? Okay, and then they go out and do exactly the opposite. I think that's what really shook me with him was when I got his phone and I looked at it. You guys, he's not planning to go out and hang out and do dumb teenage shit. You know, like we went out to parties. We had a good time. Yeah, we did lettuce and drank whatever else. You know what I mean? And we partied. We did that. His intentions when he leaves is to, I got to be careful with my words here because I don't want to get booted off here. Take other people's cars, take the plug for everything they have with the toy, you know, and then with whatever car that they took that wasn't theirs, they're going to go and partake in lettuce, and then they're all going to share the same girl. And I'm like, what? They created their own little crew, let's say that. And it's just the dumbest thing. So now when I give him an option to sit here and talk about all of these things, what we can do, how you were feeling, why you were feeling, who told you this, blah, 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 what you can do in the future and all this stuff, we will great conversations. He's so open, but I'm realizing it just seems so manipulative. It's like, I'm going to tell you what you want and I'm going to feed into this game that you're doing. But the moment you turn around, I'm going to go back to this. So how do I fix that? How do I fix that flip? Because it's not that he's raised in a household of we don't party, we don't drink, we don't do none of that stuff. I ain't got no friends. People don't come over to my house. I don't go out to my other people's houses. I don't stay out all night. His dad doesn't do that. His stepmom doesn't do that. He doesn't have that. And this kid has nice shoes whenever he wants it. You know what I mean? Like all of this crap. Yeah. Try to figure out what would help me as a kid that might help him. Here's the kicker with that. Nothing would have helped me. It didn't matter what anybody said to me, what anybody set up for me. It didn't matter. I was going to do what I was going to do anyways. And it wasn't because I had crappy parents. It was just because I didn't care. I was just going to do what I wanted to do. Never give up. And that's hard. I think that's kind of the point where I'm concerned for him. because when I went wild and I was in the street and I was using, that was very different than what's going on now. This world is very different now. We got into it then, we fought, you know what I mean? Worst case scenario, sometimes somebody would have something sharp, but never now. Now it's usually the first thing somebody do is that's it. And it's a one-time thing, you're done. You know what I mean? You don't know what's in the stuff that you're using. You don't know none of this crap, and you don't even understand. Is anybody gonna know how to help you? Have you ever thought about letting Fafo? Yeah, I'm just concerned for him because he's weak. He's not weak. He's just they're different. These kids nowadays are very sheltered. We cater to them. We try to protect them, you know. And so they didn't actually learn. Hey, Yazzie, they didn't actually have to learn the hard way, but they think that they did. And I think part of it is because they came from parents who did, and they started like taking on our personas and taking it as their own. I've caught on to that when I be hearing my kids talk to their friends and stuff, that a lot of my stories they take on with their own, like a lot of the things that I went through, and I try to explain to them. I'm like, look, everybody wants to be part of a traumatic story until you're part of a traumatic story. You don't want to be part of a tragedy. Trust me. I know it looks cool to have some kind of crazy, insane story. Oh, yeah, this happened and I survived and da 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 da. But the actual story wasn't fun. That was really damaging, and I had to do a lot of work to dig myself out of it. And I try to explain to my son things that he can do to help him kind of level that out. And I'm trying to explain to him about the thrills. You are an adrenaline junkie. There is good adrenaline you can chase after, but it doesn't have to be that. So let's try to find something that's good, that's going to be beneficial to you. But as long as he's sitting at his dad's house, in bed, sleeping all day, and then watching TV, how much information is he going to learn? What is he like? What lesson is he going to learn from that? Because he's about to be 17. That means he has one more year till he's 18. And when he goes out when he's 18 and he tries this shit, you're going to be trying this shit with grown men. And your mom's not going to be able to say, they ain't going to care that you're 18. You might screw around and piss off a 45-year-old man that's with the shit. But if he doesn't let him learn now, then what? I love him. I will be here and I will help him when he's ready, but I can't do it anymore. I literally cannot afford to have my son in my house. He's destroying my shit. He's ruining what I have I have one vehicle. Hey, Anna, I have one vehicle. And you almost destroyed that shit. Like, you just ruined so much on that vehicle. And when I talk to him about this, you guys, he's like, so I gotta pay for it? And I'm like, yeah, you ruined it with my money? No, with the neighbor's money. Or maybe the guy's car who you were gonna take. Maybe you could ask him to borrow some money. Matter of fact, go hit up your plug. Ask your plug if he's gonna borrow you some money. Oh, he won't? Okay. I also brought that up to him too. I'm like, look, you have some friends that are, hey, Jenny, you have some friends that are locked up in juvie right now. Did you write them? He's like, no. I'm like, has anybody written them? He's like, no. You ever think about leaving him a message? Why? I don't know. I just want to let you know that when you go to jail, it's the same thing, except for it'll be you. They're going to leave you messages. They're not going to write you letters. You think they're going to drop money on your bucks? So if that's what you want your future to look like, that's what it's going to look like. And I had to learn all that the hard way. When I was locked up, I remember crying to the jailer because I didn't know where to go. I had nowhere to go. Everybody that was my friend was not my freaking friend. Nobody left me messages. Nobody dropped money. I would call and they'd be like, yeah, I'll be by and I'll drop money. And they've never showed up. Never. The only people that ever did anything for me were like the sober people. And it was because out of pity. My mama was the only one who came to see you. My dad did come to see me, begged me to come home. I didn't listen to him. I went back to the guy's house that I was using with, and that's when he was there with some other girl. I used to carry my mom's ashes in a container, like a duct tape container around my neck, and they broke it open because they thought it was a substance. And my used things, she had all of this stuff, my bag, everything. It was just like, it was something in my brain switched. And I literally went when I think about it, it was like 3 days of blackness. I don't really know what happened, but I know I wasn't doing good. And I know at some point within 12 hours, the police and the drug task enforcement unit was at his house and I was in the driveway and I was pissed off and I had to call my dad. I think I broke his glasses. It was insane. It was really insane. But that was when I kind of really woke up and I started aiming towards getting sober. Yeah, it's okay. I've learned that everything that I've gone through, I've went through it for a reason. Not very many people can talk about this crap. Not very many people can own their stuff. I think the only thing that's really difficult for me to actually own is when somebody did something to me that was really damaging to me. That's really hard to talk about because I can talk about things that I willingly set myself up for. Like I knew what I was getting into and I chose to do it anyway. I'm cool with that. But when you start talking about when people manipulate you, hurt you, or target you, that's really hard for me to talk about because I just don't feel like I should have ever been in that situation, or people probably wonder why I was ever in that situation. And I try to pretend like it didn't happen, but it did happen and I survived. And I've also been very open with my kids when it comes to all this stuff. So I'm also very shocked that this is something that he's choosing to do. But at the end of the day, I really wish that the juvenile system, like in a perfect world, your probation officer will sit down with you and say, hey, what do you think is best for right now? And when I say he needs to go somewhere, you need to help me find a place for him to go. Not, well, let's just see. In every meeting we have, it's just like all right, this is going to be your last chance. All right, this is going to be your last chance. He's heard that so many times. He knows this isn't his last chance. He knows he's going to keep doing it. You advocate for families struggling with CPS. It's so hard because it's not like I have anything. Like the CPS workers that I have dealt with here, they're pretty decent. Nice people. They seem to try to help. But what is really bothersome is like when I ask them for resources, they tell me to call the college, which I think that's so backwards because you're CPS. You're the resource. What do you mean I got to call a college? So it's just like, I don't understand it. Yeah, they do make money off of the inmates. Coming from a foster parent, the system fails both good parents and the kids. I think I say that all the time too. Like, I think my kids have a different idea of what it would be like in foster care because I was lucky, because I love my foster parents. They were good people. They did such good things for me. But I know that's not the case for everyone. I hate how the world is now. Same. They watch somebody struggle and target people on food stamps. It was just crazy because it's like you see people getting taken out of the homes, and I could tell you about so many stories of situations where it was like, how are they not taking these kids? How is this person able to take these kids? I think being a foster parent would be a very difficult job in itself. You were a good one, the state messed it up. If Advocate stayed in here, he actually writes books. Advocate Awareness is his name on here. He actually writes books because he was adopted and he had a abusive foster parent or adoptive mom, and he went through a whole bunch of stuff. He writes books. He has books out on Amazon, and he advocates on it on here against CPS and stuff because he's got a really wild story. He sent you to me. Trauma is terrible, but I think that no matter what people try to make you believe, the way I look at it is this, is like when you were younger, and not everybody had a great childhood, but your mind was programmed a certain way, right? And it actually didn't have a program. And you were generally pretty happy with everything. And then things happened to you which altered your brain and made you think and feel and behave and react a certain way. So if your brain can switch from this to this, then your brain can switch from this to something else. And so either it's going to switch to something damaging or dark and low, or it's going to empower you, give you knowledge, and you can grow from it. Now you're even stronger than you were before because now you're untouchable. Now you have knowledge. Now you have strength because you made it through all of this stuff. And if you pay attention to the things that you go through, there's cheat codes in it. You can utilize that in your future. And I think that's a big thing that a lot of people don't realize is because I was traumatized. Now I'm stuck like this forever. No, the fuck you're not. No, you're not. And if you learn yourself, you learn your body, how it works, how to get it under control, you can heal yourself. I suffered for so long trying to be a certain way for everybody else, and I didn't need to. Like, all I really needed to do was embrace who I was. But when I start trying to dumb that down for people, that's when it becomes a problem. Not for anybody else. It makes everybody else happy. Thank you. But it doesn't make me happy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And I've also been doing that with my son. I've been telling my son too, I'm like, look, these jobs that these people tell you have to do, you don't have to do it. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a video game programmer. You don't have to be a professional sports player. You don't have to do any of this shit. What do you like to do? Wildest idea. What do you like to do? Even if I like to talk, boom, right there. You like to talk? You want to talk? Cool. What do you want to talk about? He likes talking about sports. There's a job in there. There's a career in that. But that's just something that I feel like incorporates that whole embracing who you are. I don't know what to do when it comes to the my son's probation with his juvenile situation. I don't know what I can do to help it or enforce it. I don't think that there is much else I can do other than let him find out and pray for the best and hope that maybe he'll catch on quicker than I did and he won't take the same path that I did. But it also, yes, it definitely starts at home. I think more parents need to be more present, be more aware, and kind of band together as parents to keep all of our kids in line. Because I've seen and I know that the kids that my son hangs out with, their parents don't give a shit. And that's part of the problem. He knows that they don't care. It takes a village. This village is non-existent around me, but we have to work together for our children and stop thinking that running the streets is cool. If us as parents, we lived a certain life when we were younger, don't set your kids up for that same life. Make sure that you are being honest and open with the consequences of your actions if you choose this path so that your kid doesn't not only go down that same path but influence other kids too or hurt other people or damage other people's things because we want to set our future up. The world is already struggling. We're already in a shitty place. There's a lot of shitty people out here in this world. And very few people are truly moving with good intent and with love. So if we know this and we're aware of it and we are the adults and we have children, we need to do something better for our kids and set them up for a better future so that they can raise children to set up an even better future. Because if we want to fix the world that we are in now, I don't think there's a better place to start than with our children.